Hope y'all enjoyed the commercials. We are back. Tech Foul coming at you, recapping episodes 3 and 4 of Winning Time. We did episode 3 in the first half. We're back now to cover episode 4. Got Tim here, got Eric here, got Ken, myself, Camille. And as I mentioned before going to the break, I think something that's really interesting about this show is how strong they are portraying Genie and his mom being in this show, given the misogynistic nature of the time period and just how they've been trying to work in what strong women look like.
And Claire.
Into the show. So it's been interesting watching their dynamic with Dr. Bus and in this 4th episode, especially even his ex-wife, when she comes in, Tim's favorite character. So episode 4.
I was just gonna say it's a nice counterbalance to all the misogyny going on with like Dr. Bus and Magic, and I'm sure the rest of the team once we get to know more of them.
Episode 4 is titled "Who the F is Jack McKinney?" And as I said earlier, it's a question I have myself. Big storylines in episode 4. It's all really revolving around training camp and ready for the season. But if you want to break it down, you got the hiring of the coach, you got training camp itself, and then again, keeping the team afloat financially. So I feel like with this one, we can kind of just go in order because it just kind of flows that way anyways. But episode 3 ended, as I mentioned, with Vic Weiss in the back of a trunk. Episode 4 kicks off with Dr. Buzz, his ex-wife Joanne, and Jeannie attending the funeral. And Vic Weiss's wife is quite upset to see Dr. Buzz, blames him for the death. And that made me, again, my point before, like, did they put the card on him, y'all think, to like try to insinuate that it's partly his fault that he got killed?
I think so, which would be the reason why Tark the Shark. I think it's just connected to making him leave or not take the job. I think that's what. If it's not a true thing, or if it didn't happen like that in real life, then that would be the only thing that I could think of. Is they want that to tie into that to make him like that'd be my out because she felt like my boy got killed because of him.
Because of him.
See, I read it a different way. Like I read it more so that like the mob, like obviously like we know what happened with Vic and skimming money and all that stuff, but I think that they're also trying to show that the mob was connected to the UNLV program and that they had a vested interest in Tark staying with UNLV and they had a good setup. And thus the Lakers trying to take Tarkanian away from UNLV. Like they were trying to stop that as well as obviously, taking out a guy that was stealing from him. So I think that having the card on him like kind of ties it back to, we don't want you think you're gonna leave for the Lakers? Like, no, fuck that. Like, you staying.
And the reality situation is that in real life, Tark the Shark did decline the job, but it was because when the news, his friend did die, but he was still going to take the job. But what happened is that the news leaked that he was going to the Lakers, and everybody in Vegas just was like sending him all this love, like, please don't leave. Like, we want you here. We love you here. His kids didn't want to go. His wife was kind of like, I know they're going to buy us cars and pay us all this money, but like, we kind of like what we got going on here. And he was, I'm gonna just stay here.
I also think about the comparison of college basketball to NBA basketball at the time. Like college basketball was even by that point like an institution. Like we said in episode 1, like Michigan State, Indiana State was like the highest rated basketball game in history, like pro and college. So like it wasn't necessarily like taking a demotion to go to the NBA, but it also wasn't like it is now where it's like you in college, you need to go up and play where the big boys are or whatever. So
yeah, and the money was different back then too, because as Tarkanian was saying, like he's like, y'all wasn't gonna pay me that much more. Like what? Until Dr. Bus blew the doors off and had Frank choke on his food, talking about some I'll pay you.
That man almost died at that
table. But that means the Lakers had to go with their second choice, who is Jack McKinney, and that had me doing all the Google. So like, who is Jack? Like seriously, who is Jack McKinney? And to find out that he is the man that had the idea of Showtime. Like there were other, coaches who had motion offenses, but him bringing to the NBA was different because as he was pointing out, like everybody was playing the exact same way in the NBA at that time, and he was trying to do something completely different. So he gets a job. He calls Paul Westhead up and is like, "Hey, I need to be my assistant. Let's roll out." The way that Paul West had quit his job had me cracking up because he's in his office. The boss comes in and he was like, "Are you finished?" And he's like, "F&A, yeah, I am." And I was like,
F&A.
all right, go ahead then, go ahead. So with their coach in tow, it's time for training camp. And we learned a lot about the team itself in training camp. I will say episode 4 has been my favorite episode so far.
Yeah,
I was like, it's crazy when you get into actual basketball stuff on a basketball show, how much it can improve.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed that. I was like, oh, we in the basketball now.
We hooping. All right.
All right, we talking about the motion offense and the concepts. Okay, let's do this.
And I think the way that the show explains basketball is done in a way that's really, really well done. Because I think they do it in a way that has people who, if you're not a big basketball fan, you can understand it. Like you can understand jazz versus classical music. You can understand the colorful cartoon version of Magic Johnson's fully realized self of how he wants to play basketball. Like the way they explained it made so much sense.
And that's also a way to get around the fact that Quincy Isaiah can't play basketball like Magic Johnson. Like,
I mean, who can? That's a tough one. That's a tough one. But my favorite part about the training camp thing was how they transitioned there, where you see every player like driving up to training camp and you're getting some information about their backstory. Michael Cooper looked like a sucker out there with his wife fixing the car.
That's the first thing I said. I was like, bro, he didn't know what a screwdriver was. I'm like, this dude here, bro.
All of them had their women driving them to practice, except for I think somebody was driving by themselves. But I noticed that immediately. Like, wait, all they women driving them to practice. I'm like, hey, you got your girl on the ground without giving her a screwdriver, nigga?
Bro, she was in there getting to work too, bro.
Oh, he better not disappoint her. She gonna whip his ass.
Hey, don't worry.
You ain't got time for none of that. I wasn't even looking, baby. You was about to. I was like,
and we ain't going. And we ain't going.
You
It was funny too
reason.
seeing young Michael Cooper, especially knowing like he becomes like, you know, somewhat of a valuable piece to that team, and he was fighting for his NBA life. It felt like
for real. Yeah. Yeah, too.
It was also kind of fun seeing Kareem does not look happy in any. I've not seen this man smile yet.
No,
Kareem seems like he just dreads to be around, bro. Like he just sucks all the energy out of everything. He come in the room just looking and shit. You like, bro, what is wrong with you?
Can't nobody sit down, so Cap sit down.
Exactly. And that nigga wouldn't. I was like, how he the captain? This nigga ain't vocal. He ain't putting the team together. This nigga ain't doing shit, bro. Hey, when they was running outside, this nigga laughed. I was like, man.
Okay.
Turned around and walked back.
That man was running in Birkenstocks, first off.
Hey, that's his fault, goddammit. Motherfucker.
it was a team meeting, not a practice. He ain't no just running involved.
Hey,
no,
stay
bro.
ready. Hey, if you stay ready, you gotta
Right, you should have brought some tennis shoes. Why ain't you bring
Like
tennis
Kareem
shoes?
Abdul-Jabbar, like you run when you want to run,
Shit.
as he showed y'all because he left.
Yeah.
Then we had
Right.
to he still them running them.
What they gonna do? Fire?
Hell no.
That time I was like, okay, the man had Birkenstocks on. He can't be out here running. He'll mess himself up. But then in practice, they was running again, and he just took his shoes off and said, I'm not doing this.
I'm up out of here.
I didn't have nothing. I was like, I can't explain this one.
No, bro. Nah, bro. And that's that diva shit. That's the shit that. Nah, bro. That shit ugly. It'd be ugly then the other players want to do it and they ain't him. But yeah, it's ugly.
Hey, everybody on that team, all his teammates seem to understand that he operated by a different set of rules, and they was all cool with it. Because as they even mentioned when they were arguing, because the players didn't seem to like McKinney's new system.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about it like, Cap, you know, you want to come with us? We got to talk. And he's like, no, thank you. And they're just kind of like, well, okay.
Well, he's too proud to go and talk to him. Like, bro, y'all done came with an excuse for this man already. He don't give a shit.
Kareem was different.
Yeah, he definitely was different.
Had Magic as his rookie. Give me some orange juice in the paper.
Hey, man. I'm sorry. He would have called some fuck yous with all that. I would have threw that juice in his face first time. Nigga, fuck you. Nigga got me waking up early to bring you some goddamn juice, nigga.
You know how I know Ken lying? Because like Kareem was the Kobe of his day, and if Kobe told him to do that shit, he would be like, "Yes, sir, Mr. Bryant.
Dog,
Here's your orange
would have been in there churning the fuck out of some juice, bro. you like this? No pope was his pope, you know.
Ain't this about a bitch? When this become about me? You know what? I'm out of here. Hey, I'm finna pull a him. All right, motherfucker. Let's go. Shit. I see where I'm not welcome in this motherfucker.
Oh, you been welcome, all right? He need that juice.
Hey, but he finally got that. He was like, nigga, at least sip the juice. Shit.
He's like,
right.
sip it.
At least taste the damn juice.
Nigga, how you know if the juice good just looking at the shit? All orange juice look the same, motherfucker.
Oh, one time he didn't even take the paper or the juice. I'm like, bro, come on now.
He said the LA Times.
The nigga said it's the paper. Nigga, what paper you want?
He wants the new. He's cultured. He wants the New York Times.
Yeah, nigga, he would have nigga eat a dick. Motherfucker, he want this motherfucker.
That's where it gets to. After that, he just
As I mentioned, though, the players were having a hard time adjusting to this new system. I really did like how you see Magic trying to be Magic and throw these passes during practice.
It's not working.
It's like he's playing dodgeball. He was just
hey, niggas get hit in the chest like, oh, nigga gonna keep trying. Hey, niggas squared up when he like, hold on.
Why you pass me wide open like that? What's wrong with you?
I'm wide open. What? All of it was wide open, bro.
All of wide open. I can't believe you passed me the ball like that. Look at me. Wide open and shit.
Just doing dime passes off top and niggas was angry.
I ain't post up yet. Post up.
I ain't get to my spot. Wait,
boy, you at the rim. Go up. Go up. What you posted up?
Oh,
they had Magic looking at them just like disgusted. He was sitting there looking at them in practice like, y'all are messing up the dimes here.
Dog.
I mean, they was big mad too, man. The rookie hit me in the face again. I'm gonna have to fuck him up.
Catch the ball. They gonna catch it.
Right. Use your hands.
Don't use his face like, oh, my.
They ran into each other like, what y'all doing?
Exactly. Y'all got to say, how y'all
do that? How y'all fall that hard?
Fam, the way they collided with each other,
that made no sense.
Both of them left their feet.
Ain't no way in the world. I would have left practice like, all right, man, y'all.
They didn't have the same color jersey on, so y'all the same teammates. Like,
exactly, bro. Y'all teammates. Y'all on the same squad running into each other.
What y'all
like
doing?
That's great artistic direction there, because as you can see, they made you believe like these dudes suck. Like they are not gelling well. A team don't work, B team don't work. Don't matter which one is out there, it's just not working. All the players go to talk to Jerry West about it. I forget who was it. Ron Boone, is that what the player's name was?
Yeah, I think I looked it up. I think he's currently the TV guy for the Jazz, apparently.
Interesting.
And then like they talked about Dantley, like that is Adrian Dantley. I didn't realize he was a Laker for a minute. That man kept getting traded and like was just giving buckets like all around the league, but he couldn't stay nowhere. Like I think he was in Utah for the longest.
It was a valuable piece.
5 or 6 years.
No, the way they was walking, Jerry West thought it was gonna be two players coming to talk to him, and they just kept filing. He looked like
he looked out the window, like looked at the door, like goddamn, I only got no clothes on.
Right,
y'all look at got girls on at this point.
So that leaves Jerry West to go talk to Jack McKinney, like, hey, yo, I know you want to levitate and everything like that, but you gotta keep your feet on the ground, like compromise a bit, do some of your new stuff, do some of the old stuff. And McKinney is like, no, that's not my system. I'm doing what I need. Get me the players I need to do what I want to do instead of trying to make it work with what I got. Kind of like the Lakers' problem now, where it's like you gave Frank Vogel all these players who don't fit his system, and now they like make it work. He's like, it's not going to work. It's not what I'm asking
any
for.
System, but
yeah,
it's a different conversation for a different day.
But it's wild that they literally had this man levitating though over the chair when he was in the chair.
Jedi shit on.
I was like, dog. That was dope.
I liked it because they the way they filmed it made it seem as if like he's like a true visionary. Like the way he was able to see the paper with the X's and O's coming off of it, and he's levitating, and you're just like,
he got stutter dribbles going up the court. Like, oh, okay, what we doing out here?
He's the guru out here.
His film session where he's like, okay, here's this. Took 23 seconds for y'all to. I was like, oh my god, I'm so glad basketball has evolved.
He was fucking him up. I'm like, damn, you're using the whole shot clock. The whole shot clock.
He said you're using 23 seconds to miss.
All game.
Got it.
Ooh. No.
And although the show makes it seem as if the players, hated the scheme of it in real life, they loved it. They the ability to be able to play more open, a more fast-paced offense. like he was almost like immediately embraced by the Lakers roster, where they were like, "Yo, run it all costs, we down for this." But the only friction that they actually had in real life was between Norm Nixon and Magic Johnson, because both of them were like, "I'm the point guard, I'm the point guard." So there was some beef there with that, but once they figured out how to kind of play together, as we saw in the episode, you know, it worked out. Also, fun fact: the fight with Magic Johnson and Pat Boone, that really did happen. Like they really did get into a fight. In practice, apparently. Magic did not yell out, "Although I'm working, I'm not your beat." Apparently, the real language used was a little bit less vulgar, but along the same lines. They just kind of beefed it up because, you know, it's HBO. You gotta
spice it up.
Going back to the meeting with Jerry West, like I thought it was funny. Like Norm, he was in there with him, but when they asked him, he like, "I don't know, man. Let's give him a chance." They're like, "Oh, you traitor ass nigga."
He started hooping. He was like, "Hey, bro, hey, low key, this might work out. This might be it."
What
He's
you
like,
Magic
Magic nice,
for?
man.
You want to give him a chance, like,
Right? Like, low key, my boy kind of nice.
Hey, we're Magic nice out here, man. I don't know.
Right.
You see that?
I don't know, man.
You see that? Well, that long too.
He said, "I didn't catch you fast. It's cool with me." It was fun seeing them together in that last practice that had all the pressure on McKinney, where it's like, you need to show something because you got Dr. Buzz here, you got Wes here, you got what's his name, Bill Sharon, I believe, the GM of the team. Everybody's watching and trying to see what you can do. And his decision to play Norm and Magic together paid off some dividends there for him. So it was fun to see that.
Like, it's hard for me because, like, obviously I didn't see basketball pre-Showtime era, but it's like, why would you think that wouldn't work? Like, play your best players at the same time. Like, I don't know. Like, you could have two ball handlers if, you know, like, they can also play off the ball. I don't know.
That's the thing. Go ahead.
Maybe it was an old school mindset. Like, you know, some cats feel like if you get a point guard and you draft a point guard, there's only one of them can start. You drafted a shooting guard to start at shooting guard. And so on and so forth. So they were like, "Hey, we drafted a point guard. We already got one. Only one of them can start."
I guess I can get that defensively because then you usually would have two point guard size players. But if you have big ass Magic Johnson, like, you kind of have a little bit more flexibility defensively, which would allow you to play two ball handlers at the same time.
And like you mentioned, to us it makes sense because that's what we've seen for most of our lives. But I can imagine being the first one to think, like, you know what? Why do we always do it this way? Why can't I have it like this? I can imagine people being like, "Well, why would you even do that?" Like, the way it's
put them in a post. No.
Right. Like, the way it's working, the way we've been doing things has been working. Why are you trying to change the formula? So, like, the first time you ever do something different, you normally are kind of like met with some type of resistance because people are like, it's been working. Why are you messing with stuff? So
except for the running.
I'm glad
y'all wasn't running and winning. Y'all can run and win now.
I'm glad. I'm super glad they changed it because, again, the evolution of basketball has been beautiful to watch. I'm so glad it has evolved because I can understand why golf was more popular than basketball back then.
Golf was faster than basketball.
Imagine if you got Magic Johnson running point and all he does is walk the ball up the court and then dump it into Kareem in the post. Like, boo! What's even the point at that point?
Tomato.
23 seconds, bro. He said y'all came up the court, dumped it off. 6 to 8 dribbles later, hook shot. This the one y'all did the most.
Sky hook.
It's also the most effective.
Can't stop that joint.
That's what McKinney was like. He's like, that's always going to be there. Like, let's figure out some other things that we can do to help spice this up some. So again, this has been my favorite episode so far. And on the other side of it, you see the financial aspect of it. The episode opened with a young Jeannie and her family at a restaurant. They run into their dad. They're like, "Oh, can we sit with dad?" And some young woman comes in. And
Young
Joanne, the mama is like, "No, we going to our table."
And
they leave. Right, they leave. Dr. Buzz starts getting the pop going on, and
he's playing with a throat early. I'm like, "Oh, that's what we on."
From the table.
At the table,
as he's getting his pop on, Jeannie walks back over, and I was like, "Isn't there a tablecloth? Like, how is she?"
They dead center of the damn restaurant. They walked in the building, seeing him immediately. Why?
He was like,
in the building. Would you be surprised that you got caught?
I would expect you to be here. Hey, kids.
I know we got here at the entrance, but shit. Didn't expect y'all to walk in and notice me immediately. I'm only sitting by the door.
Hey, he nasty, bro. You know he smelled his finger afterwards too, bro.
I think he touched Jeannie with
He touched her.
Hey, he rubbed her face.
I hope it was the other hand.
I was trying to figure out.
He filthy, bro.
I was like, was that the same hand that he?
Bro, first of all, we in a restaurant, bro. It is food. He's
Yeah,
bad. Like I don't give a damn.
Getting the shit off in the restaurant without kids and shit like that. Like if you're in the back corner or something like that, trying to be on some public sneaky shit, like you trying to be adventurous, is one thing.
All right, now.
But you by the entrance,
All right now.
in the middle of the damn restaurant,
Wait for
with no tablecloth. I don't even think there's plates on that bitch.
Hey, they ain't had no bread on it. Motherfucker.
Nothing. Maybe a glass of water, a fork or two.
Hey, he will wait for the cooch.
But that's the thing that's crazy with it, because like that's a crazy scene to open up an episode with. But then you see he has a nudie book, which is pictures, and it's an old school family photo. Like it's a big.
It's not a little black book. My man had a big red binder. My guy,
He was just
complete with
flipping that
illustrations.
mug. Choose it. I'm gonna call her today.
But
Can't even hide it. Book falls over.
And she sees it, and it again goes to what we were talking about. Like she's trying to figure out how she feels about her dad, and then when she realizes the fact that like my dad's kind of living a fantasy, we can like this is what he's gonna want to bring to his team, a fantasy. We need to give people that escapism. She took the nudie book to work.
They flipping it like, titties. Okay.
I'm like, y'all real casual with this
Titties.
binder full of women.
They just flipping through. Claire's like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Right, like she didn't give her no context. She just handed her the book. Like, this is what we gonna do. What we gonna?
She opened it up like titties.
Like I know you didn't like the slam dunk, but
you could have warned me. Could have warned me for it.
I do want to say, someone needs to bring that mascot back. Slam Duck is a hilarious. I love it. I need that to be a real mascot. I love that.
So the dude that was playing Slam Duck, like they wrote the thing. It was like future billionaire. Who is that?
So
did you look it up?
that is, I believe his name is. I think it's Les Rosen, but I'll double check his name. But who he ends up becoming is Magic's agent.
Oh, so he's the one that was crying in the car.
Yes.
Okay.
So what happens is, he's working at the firm intern, and as he develops relationships, he becomes a sports agent, and he represents Magic. And I think Jerry West at some point, and he continues to build his own empire that way.
Okay.
But yeah, they tried, and Jeannie, got cool with the intern, smoking some grass, in the bowels of the the office.
Cool.
Right.
It was like, first of all, who are you?
Right. Are you the intern?
Or are you his daughter?
You the snitch? No. We trust you.
She was like, roll that shit up.
Never smoked a day in her life. Roll that up.
Roll that up.
Let's go. But they do, as Eric mentioned, like they kind of give Jeannie Buss like the credit of developing the Laker girls, but in real life that was Dr. Buss. Of course it was. To no one.
Exactly.
That he was the one to be like, no, we need some Laker girls out here just kind of
spandex and hot pants.
All he wanted. That's what he wanted.
Flapjacks everywhere.
So they,
Hey, sponsored by IHOP.
Get your ass.
Claire, Jeannie, and the gang present him what Showtime is going to look like, and with the Laker girls, with the Forum Club, with the celebrities in the front row, and he's all aboard. So he felt good about that. Probably really good after the fact that Jeannie was also able to convince convince her mom, his ex-wife, to sign the paperwork that his mom put together to help him financially, which would put the team in her name and keep the balloon loan with him so that they could file for bankruptcy. He won't lose his team. They can get out this jam and keep it moving.
Boy, they know how to find some loopholes, don't they?
Boy,
that's how they stay rich. That's how they stay rich.
That's a fact.
That's because they don't want to write the rules. They know how to get around them.
And just for the fact checking of that, so it is true that Dr. Buss had some financial struggles taking on the Lakers because in the red, and he also spent a lot of money on them. Like, he was defaulting in loans in the 80s later on, but in real life, his wife never took control of the team. What happened, how he was able to get out the jam with the loan, he got a loan from a friend. Do y'all know who that friend happened to be?
Donald Sterling.
Thank you, Hefner.
That's who he called to get the money in real life. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
That
Episode ends. It's showtime. It's the last words you hear, and I'm like, I can't wait for the next episode to see where we go, because I want to see how the show depicts what happens to Jack McKinney, and then how Pat Riley gets from announcing and being an errand boy to being coach of the Lakers. So it should be fun. It should be fun. Anything else y'all want to say about this episode before we wrap it up?
How are y'all feeling about the show overall? Like, just real quick, like maybe rate it or just say, you know, it's okay, it's good. Like, where you at?
For me, episode 4 showed the potential. Like, it's been cool, but episode 4 was when I was like, okay, we really might be able to go somewhere with this. So I'm looking forward to seeing where we go.
Yeah, I've definitely been entertained the entire time. But yeah, episode 4 showed like, okay, like it's a basketball show. So once you start getting into basketball, you can really, like, you know, get the momentum going. So I'm excited. Like, now at first I was like, okay, I'm watching it, you know, every week, but now I'm more like, I can't wait to, you know, see it next week and see like where they go now.
What about you, real quick?
I'm entertained, but I wished it moved a little bit faster.
We got 10 episodes, man. They got to. Although we're going through a whole decade, so I don't know how they're gonna do that. But hey,
man.
we'll talk about it after the film.
7, 8, 9.
We'll keep it going. So appreciate everybody tuning in to this episode of Overtime. We hope y'all enjoy. Hope y'all have been enjoying the show itself. And we're gonna hit y'all with our socials and get up out of here until the next time. So if you want to follow me on social media, you can catch me.
Wait a minute.
On Twitter, Instagram, and these PSN, 2K, and GTA streets at Camille Monet, CAMILLE MONAE, because
your mom is fancy.
Thank you, sir.
Got Buzz Burner on Twitter.
That's all you get.
Yep.
Everyday_gentleman on Instagram. K Harris 216 on Twitter and Snapchat.
And it's your boy, TIMKINZ, the number 3, aka Ass Ketchum, aka Mr. Give It To Me. Peace.
See y'all later. Y'all be safe. Take care of yourselves and all that good stuff.